Start. Okay, I'd like to open the meeting of December 1st, 2015, Littleton Board of Health. Do we have any board member reports? Bill?
Nope.
Ann?
Yes, we completed our Region 4A budget period 4 deliverables, 3 drills, and 3 after-action reports for the MRC.
Okay. Gino?
I did go to see, all on it there, on 370 Hardwood Avenue. I have no idea about any
Let's
of...
do that under 370 Hardwood Ave when we do the update at
problem.
7:15. I don't have anything else. We actually have minutes, so Shelley's been hard at work.
Oh, really?
Oh, I didn't see the minutes.
You beat me to it, I think.
I just did them today, so.
Oh,
So
okay.
let's start with the 8:18:15 minutes. They're in your packet if people want to take a few moments to read through them.
Let me get it, I don't know what the hell it is. Where'd you put it? On the bottom?
Right under the agenda.
Mamma mia. You give me a book. You give me a book, eh? My God. All right. Thanks. Only one, right? $20, can I tell? 20, you sure? You sure you wrote this thing right? 20,000 gallons? Thing?
No, that's 2,000.
That's what I'm saying, yeah, okay.
Testing you.
That's okay, you tested me, I know you do, I know. A lot of people's tested me. But I got good eyes, you know? Yeah, Mamma mia, what the hell the other?
That would take up the whole lot now.
At that call, you wrote me on the email. I know I'm busy, but I did go twice.
Okay, thanks.
Uh, I already read it. Everybody read it? Make a motion to accept that.
Bill, Ann, you guys ready?
For 18, yeah.
Gino, I think you did find one typo, right? It should be 2,000 versus
Yes, I-
20,000?
Yeah.
Under
instead
18 Lincoln
20,000,
Drive?
Right.
Okay.
Instead of 20,000, should be 2,000. I
So do
just,
we have a motion to approve with that change?
yeah, I did.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, and now the 10:13:15 minutes.
Okay, I'll make a motion to accept the meeting minutes for 10:13 if people are ready.
I'm not ready yet,
Okay.
I'm halfway. Make a motion to approve the meeting of 10/13/15.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. Correspondence, we do have a letter from Mr. Gerald James of 21 Laurel Road. He's a back abutter to 20 Maplehurst Road, which had an upgrade to the septic system under the Community Loan Program. We had approved some variances on this, I think, fill within 2 feet of the lot line. Mr. James is alleging that by accident, I believe he's saying that the survey markers were removed and actually this encroached onto his property. If this had happened before we had approved this, I think we could do something about it. It's kind of after the fact now. So I believe this is more of a civil matter than something we can deal with. Had I come in earlier and we had known there was some disagreement, we could have held off and encouraged the parties to work it out, but it's a bit late for that now. So if you could let Mr. James know that unfortunately this is not really our purview, but it's also past the time when we could do anything about it, and it is a civil matter at this point.
Well, it goes back to the surveyors. The surveyors have to do the plan for the septic, so it kind of goes back to the surveyor.
Well, he's questioning the survey, that's the
He
point.
doesn't want to pay for an extra surveyor, you know what I mean?
Well, but that's the point. It goes back to the
It goes
line.
back to him. It goes to the surveyor.
Right, but if there was a question over the survey, and we knew ahead of time, we could hold off and
Sure.
try to get them to work it out. But
Right,
at this
right.
point, I think it's a little bit late.
Right.
Any other correspondence, Shelley?
No.
Okay. Septic survey report. You guys put a lot of work into this. We have it here. It's pretty straightforward. It lists all the properties basically in the proposed sewer zone, because that's of interest to the Board of Selectmen and many other people in town, as well as around Long Lake, because that's long been an area where we've been concerned about the sewer systems. There are a number of failed inspections that haven't been updated. I was pleasantly surprised there weren't as many as I thought there would be, to be honest.
Some of these properties, at least on my street, I know that they've changed hands, and when they change hands, they have to get a Title V inspection. And I question whether this truly is, you know what I mean? There might be a few here that really aren't.
Well, this is both Jim's records and ours.
Yeah, so I wonder.
What do you wonder?
I just wonder.
Well, what do you wonder? I can.
What I
You
just
wonder
said.
about the- okay.
What I just said. I said
I
I
wonder
know.
about the origins of the universe. Are you wondering about the veracity of Jim's records or ours, or whether people came for permits?
Just
or-
wondering the whole process, because just off the top of my head here, I know that at the top of the hill, up Dahlia, and I believe I know which,
Unbelievable.
there's a couple up here that I don't think, 49 Dahlia Drive, that's changed hands. So to change hands, you can't
It
change.
should have gone through Title V.
It should have had, you have to sell it.
All we can really go by, Ann, though, is the records we have and Jim has.
Right, all I'm saying is that Title V, you have to go through Title V when you change hands, or property change hands. So,
Not if it's a foreclosure, not if it's a bank sale, not if it's a cash sale.
okay, and it was none of those. I mean, it wasn't a foreclosure, I know that. So I'm just wondering if
So,
maybe.
Shelley, you did a pretty thorough review of our records, right?
So I'm just wondering where else the records would be, if maybe they weren't sent in from the,
Well, you know, there's a
Title V
lot of,
inspector.
there's a lot that they're missing, you know, information, and they don't get a certificate of occupancy, and that's what we go by, is the certificate of occupancy, so if there's information missing, then
So you're questioning
Yeah.
whether or not they passed the Title V inspection?
no, I have friends who live at 49 Dahlia Drive who bought the house about 5-6 years ago, after 6/11/07. To buy a house with a failed system, I mean, you find out that the system is failed. I don't believe it goes through unless the system is in a good, you
Well,
know,
it has to be, it has to
be
meet Title
functioning.
V in order for the sale to go through.
Exactly, so what I'm
But it
saying
also
is
has to be
what
recorded with
happened.
us and with Neshoba, and it apparently
Yeah.
isn't.
So
So
I'm
if you'd like
I'm
to follow
wondering-
through with your friends at 49 Dahlia Drive, I'm sure Shelley could take a second look at the records, but
I'm just wondering
But wait
if
a
if there's other places where it goes, because with the transfer of properties around here, with bedroom count, all sorts of things seem to fall through the cracks.
Maybe they,
So I'm just wondering.
I suppose when somebody sells a house, they're gonna have it inspected, and they're gonna have the
Right,
septic system
exactly.
clean, you understand? So if there's something wrong with the septic system, they're not gonna buy the house.
Well, no, I mean, the condition of
that's why I'm
sale by
disputing
state
this.
law is that it has to be upgraded to meet Title V. So,
But if it,
I guess, why don't we make sure that 49 Dahlia Drive is really your friend's address, and that we're talking about the right one?
find out.
Oh, it
And
is.
if you can do that, well, I'm sure Shelley's
It
is
Yeah.
So-
adamant that her records are accurate as you are, that you know the right address, so why don't we check them both? But until then, I'm happy to go with,
don't know, you
with
have-
the records we
he's
have,
a
and we can only go with the
troublemaker.
information we
You're
have.
a troublemaker
Okay,
today.
and what are we going to do with this? We're going to,
So we're gonna use it as kind of, for a couple things. You had asked for this specifically, when you said we needed to look at the failed septic systems in key areas of town. So you were actually the one who made the motion for this, so I assume you had some idea what you wanted to do with it. I had also wanted to present the part about because part of this is where the proposed sewer system is. So that's information for the town sewer committee and for the selectmen to weigh in and consider when looking at the costs and benefits of a new sewer. So as you had made the motion to be part of this, because we had a checklist we needed to go through.
I absolutely know why I would be interested. I just was wondering what your plan was.
Well, my plan, at least for this, was, one, to continue discussion, because we had agreed on this.
Okay.
But also to present it to the selectmen as far as where the proposed sewer system is, so they can consider this as part of their cost benefit.
I have a question, Shelley. There's one here, 27 Data Drive, it says up. Does that mean it's in the system, it's in the process of,
Yeah, I think that just
Being
means it was
approved or whatever, it's
upgraded,
just
but there
not done
wasn't.
yet.
That's number
he didn't
3 on
put
our
a
list
specific
tonight.
date.
We're seeing 27 tonight.
yeah, there's 2 or 3
It's-
others here, too.
Being, yeah.
down
Yeah,
the
because
street.
Jim went through all his records and just
I think that
pulled the ones that, you know, he knew of,
people don't take care of.
41 still
that
failed,
had been
58 failed.
upgraded or are in the process of being upgraded. A lot of these, you know, don't necessarily have to have a Title V because they fail just based on groundwater. So if you know it's going to fail, they're not going to spend the $900 on a Title V. They're just going to upgrade it. You know, so that's why there's a lot in the upgraded column that may not have a failed Title V inspection associated with it because they would fail just based on the soil.
So they didn't wait to get the failure.
Right.
Unbelievable, too many.
And I do have a map that shows the area that we did.
That would be helpful
that
for,
I'll
at
attach
least
for
when I
the-
give it to the
for the
selectmen.
selectmen.
Thank you, Shelley, for doing this.
Excellent.
Good job. And actually, the selectmen wanted this. I said, well, we might need some money, and Shelley managed to do it without any extra money, so she had the taxpayers in mind, so good job, Shelley. Okay, Ann, so what's your plan with this? I'm wondering.
Oh, I just wanted, because it was brought up, I think, believe last summer, and we wanted to know how many were failed, and we wanted to know the areas of town where they tended to be failed. But I think it was also around the community septic loan program time that we were interested in doing this, because we wanted to, offer that, and I know it was a lot of work. Thank you, Shelley, for all that work.
So when community
so-
septic loan comes around again, the folks who haven't upgraded are probably targets, I think is what we're saying.
Yeah, so so now we know that there's several years have passed for many of these.
And this isn't town-wide, because that would have been way too much work. We tried to pick
Yeah.
again, the area of interest to the town, and the one where we had particular interest around Long Lake, which has kind
Yeah.
of traditionally been problematic, because the houses were seasonal and that sort of thing.
So I guess,
Do we want to send a letter out to people reminding them that their septic?
well, that's what I was gonna say,
You
where
know-
there's so many of them that have gone beyond their time.
We might want
and
to just
now
send a
that-
Well, and
letter.
that might address
Got it.
Ann's wondering about 49 Dahlia and whether our
We
records are
can
accurate
send a
as
letter
well.
out, basically.
And that may
saying-
reduce a few of them, because I think part of this was we wanted people to get their systems upgraded if they needed to. Just, so I think we should do a letter. So I make a motion. We could send a letter out to those that have failed, reminding them.
Well, I mean, I think our letter should basically say, our records indicate you've had a failure as such and such a date.
Yeah.
Please indicate, and maybe some background information like community septic loan program for next year.
She makes a motion, I second it. That's a good idea to send a letter. You're
Yeah.
gonna be busy, a lot of people couldn't hear. When you install,
Don't put my card in.
wait a minute. What-
Don't
when
what?
you-
Don't put my card in.
Hey. Hey, when
John
you-
Markey's
When you
gonna
get a customer, right?
fly
they
the
need a septic
state.
system. Did you tell them that the system is new, that keep it clean every 2 years, or you just let it go and
No,
and
we
and
give
they
them a
they
little-
neglect the purpose
Give
of
them a
it?
little document that shows,
Yeah.
that tells you how to take care of your septic system.
And that's it, that's all you do, that's all
Hey,
you can
Gino,
do.
Down.
stay on track here. So we have a motion and a second. So, all in favor?
Aye.
And you've got a good sense of what goes in the letter, probably better than the rest of us do. Okay. Okay, so update on 370 Hardwood Ave. We've all been out, we've smelled odors, some leaves, some strong leaves, some a little bit acrid, some a little bit more than acrid by Ann's report. I have had some discussions with Jim on that. There's a question of the well and the distance from the place to the well.
Yep.
They're DEP regulations, not ours, and essentially my discussion with Jim was that the DEP regulations used to say they'd basically map all the wells within 100 feet. They subsequently changed them to say it wouldn't happen within 100 feet. As their DEP regulations, what I asked Jim to do is write a letter to DEP, basically notifying them if there's some question, is the distance of the wells in a couple of these properties from there, and basically giving them a heads up that this might be a concern. With the stuff they're bringing in there, I'm not terribly worried about the well, but it's DEP's regulations, not ours anyhow, so the best we can really do is update DEP that there might be a potential issue there.
So what is the distance for DEP? They don't have a distance, do they?
100.
I thought it was
It's
250.
Whatever it is, it's in their regs, but they changed it from whatever it was, I don't recall, I haven't, Jim and I spoke about it, I don't have it, but they changed it from being aware of the wells within a certain distance to not allowing it, and he wasn't sure if they had grandfathered folks in,
Okay,
because they really couldn't change it and then put all these folks out of business. That may have been something they decided to keep.
Okay, all righty,
So
very
Jim
good.
is giving a notice to DEP, it's really their call, it's
Good.
their regulations, not ours.
Take care of it.
I did talk to Jim about a couple issues. Basically what I'd noticed was the lower end of Colonial seemed to typically have more odor than any place else. It seemed to be the lower issue. We talked a little about moving it over to the other side of the property. Jim had said when there's a Concom issue, which I think is less of an issue, but he said that probably wouldn't solve it, because then when they were doing work over there, it was more of an issue on Richard Way. We both kind of agreed that to this point, it didn't meet the definition of a nuisance, though it was annoying, but we all agree with levels of annoyances almost wherever we live. What we did speak about, and I spoke to Bill about this again as well, was, would this really a Board of Health issue, or is this a zoning issue? Is this area zoned for this type of activity? And you were going to speak to Roland?
Yes, and it's not a zoning issue.
Okay, so it's zoned for this type of activity?
Yeah.
Okay.
Can I say something? When you're finished explaining what you're thinking?
Sure, I'm looking for objective, balanced comments tonight.
That's good. So am I.
I have a question. When you refer to lower Colonial Drive, are you talking about back?
No,
end of it?
9, closer to Harwood.
Closer to Howard.
So oddly,
All right.
even though they were
Corner.
doing a lot of the work higher up towards 19 and towards the corner of Richard Way and Colonial, the stronger odors, most of the times I've been there, at least in the past few weeks, were down around 9.
That's the only place that I've
And
noticed it. to
what
any
it is
extent.
lower in elevation, so, and it was throughout the day, so that was my thought, because the lowest part of that's down by the brook,
Right. I guess that's what confused me when you said the lower end of Colonial. You were referring to numbers, not
Well, it's,
elevation.
no, both, actually. So 9 is lower than 19. There's a slight upgrade, I think, going up
To
Colonial.
Richards Way.
Yeah.
But then it
Then goes
starts
down.
to drop off.
Yeah, well, I'm talking about between Harwood and Richard
And
Way.
Richards Way, yeah.
But the
okay.
stronger odors are down towards 9.
Yep, yep.
And that's a lower elevation, so whatever it is, it seems
Yeah.
to be heavier.
That's the only place that I've ever detected any strong odor.
Yeah, well, we've all detected it various times in various degrees in different places, and so there is odor there, there's no question
Oh, yeah.
about that,
Yeah.
so.
Yeah.
Okay, so when you say it's not strong enough to be something that we're concerned about?
No, I've said that's my opinion in Jim's. That's a collective decision.
Okay, so I guess what I'm have experienced objectively is it smelled at that corner almost every time I've gone out. There's been a few times I've gone out and it hasn't smelled. The other areas, not so much, but it's always been, when they've reported it, I've gone out and it's been pretty obvious.
Yeah.
So,
Well, nobody's saying there's no odor,
okay, that's
but I
fine.
went by there tonight, for
Yeah.
instance, and there was no odor.
Yeah, and I've been out too, and there's been no odor sometimes. So I guess what I'm wondering is, when you say that if we move the berms to the other side of the property, then it will become possibly a conservation issue or possibly an issue for Richards Way, isn't there a part of the property, though, if it was moved off of their property line, maybe moved back 100 feet towards the entrance where, of Holloran's farm, if it was just moved up and just gotten a little bit
You mean
farther?
closer to Harwood?
Closer, no, parallel to Hardwood, but just back away from Colonial.
Well, that's what I was suggesting to Jim. If you move, the
Just
stream
move
and
'em.
Colonial are in parallel. Mm-hmm. So if you move it away from Colonial, you move closer to the stream. And Jim said the Conservation Commission said issues with that, which I'm less concerned about. I think there's ways to deal with that. But what he's also said is when they were doing some of the composting work on that side of the property, there was more of an issue for Richard Way. So I have the same thought, but Jim doesn't seem to think that will work. I'm also not sure it's going to work for Halloran because that's where his buildings are.
Okay, actually, I'm thinking of a different part of the property. If you look at the entrance, his main entrance to his farm, here's Harwood.
Harwood, yep.
And here's Colonial. These berms are in parallel to Colonial on this side. If they were moved up, he's got some woodworking activity going on there, but he could move that to any other part of his property, I think.
I mean,
I don't know.
I
If you
think we'll
move it,
have
what,
noise
50 feet, you
complaints.
say?
You know,
Yeah,
was thinking the
I
same
don't know,
thing, Brett.
but-
You know, we can move the wood cutting, it's
Why
not
can't
woodworking,
we-
it's wood cutting, he does
Okay.
cordwood. You know, I think then we're gonna get noise
Or
complaints.
he could put
Basically,
that in
that
the
would
center.
put the berm right in the middle of his property.
Right, yeah.
Yeah, and I think that
So-
would be better,
Well,
smell-wise.
what Brad is saying, and I was thinking the same thing, was now you're gonna have the equipment that's moving the
Move it-
material
Right.
between where the berm is and Colonial Drive.
No, that's true.
And there's dust and the beepers
And
on
he's
the
the saws and
loadway
everything.
But
everything else.
I think we have the same
Okay.
idea, Ann, but again, we still run into the Conservation Commission issue with the stream, because the stream, again, runs perpendicular, he's basically perpendicular Hardwood. On one side, he's got the stream, on the other side, he's got Colonial.
Right.
So he can move it close to the stream, he picks up a whole nother set of issues.
Yeah,
Plus,
All
I
he
the
would-
starts
runoff
moving the
goes
equipment.
that way.
Yeah, I mean, it all runs down to the front right corner of the property. That's what, but Jim has said when he has done work towards that side, that that's been more of an issue for Richard Way. So, I mean, what I think we need to do is keep watching it, and it may very well be that, and anybody along the way, if they think the odor is bad enough, can make a motion to declare it a nuisance. I personally don't think we're there, Jim doesn't, other people may, but I would suggest when we watch it a little bit, and I do think at some point soon we need to go back and compare it to some of the things he's done. Well, the odors that came in were very strongly associated with him bringing in new loads of leaves, Some of those loads had more of an acrid odor. I don't know if they had degraded, either they had been stored ahead of time or they had degraded in transport. You know, I can picture being in a truck, they pack them in really tight, there's not a lot of oxygen in there, that might have had something to do with it. But I think we need to collect a little bit more data. If anyone feels we've reached the nuisance threshold now, they can make a motion. I asked Jim's opinion, he didn't think so, and at this point I have to say I don't either.
I don't-
I mean,
I don't.
is it smelly on occasion? Yes. Is it annoying? Yes. Is it declared a nuisance to the point where we shut them down? I don't think we've seen that yet.
No.
Well, if we declared a nuisance, it wouldn't mean we'd have to shut him down. It would mean he would have to do something to remediate the smell.
Well, except, I mean, frankly, I talked
I
to
mean,
Jim, and there's
would
not
be-
much he can do. I mean, I don't have any concerns with what he's bringing in. I mean, I've seen it, Jim's seen it, none of us question what he's doing.
Yeah.
Nobody's questioned whether he's doing it right. He's in compliance with DEP. We've talked about moving various activities on the property, and we might solve one problem and cause another. What we may do, and we don't have to declare him a nuisance to do that, he's already pretty much said he'd consider anything we had to do, so I don't think we need to go that far. At this point, I don't think we have enough data to say, yeah, it happens when you do A and B together on this type of day. That's what I like to look for in the future, but we,
Yeah, it's very random.
I think it has to do with the wind, too. Wind
the wind's
effect.
definitely gonna,
Wind
it's
has
a
an
given with
effect.
odors.
Yeah,
it's-
but the wind isn't creating it, the
Right.
wind's just moving it.
But on a
Yeah.
still day, what I've seen is it really does seem to sink down towards the corner of Harwood and Colonial.
Yeah, and the funny thing is, every time I've been over there, the wind is always blowing towards Richard Way.
Yeah.
Well, what if he were to, if this is his property, what if he were to put his wood chipping right over here and move his berms like this?
Well, aside from the fact that his buildings are there,
Well, his buildings are here,
no, okay, well,
okay, and he has an entrance here.
first of all, you need to put this in
Okay.
perspective. So where is Harwood?
I have it in perspective.
Well,
This is
no, where's
Harwood,
Harwood?
Stuff there.
this is Richard's Way, and that's Colonial.
Wait.
Just something to, I'm just trying to
Okay,
think
This is
about.
much shorter than this. He doesn't have the space.
Yes, but couldn't he do like, you know,
And I think we need to
I
get more
don't know.
data before we start talking about this,
put something like that up there and then,
you know? And you still run into the section where he's moving his wood cutting business along
Well, I'm thinking-
closer to the buildings.
if we could put it right
So
there.
what's he supposed to do, just leave this part of his property vacant?
Mr. Chairman.
I don't know, but I think the point is that if there's any way to move those berms, I think it would be to everyone's benefit. I'll
Mr.
end my
Chairman.
comment.
Okay, and I will say
Okay.
there may be, I don't think we have the data, and I'm not sure those options exist to do it without creating more problems, but we can
Yeah,
look
I
at
don't
that
know.
as we get more data.
Okay, thank you.
Gino, anything you want to say about this?
Yeah, I'd like to say something.
Okay.
First of all, wouldn't it be better to have him come in before you people make a decision what he's supposed to do? And if there's only one individual that's complaining, he's trying to do his work. Well, we can only do a little bit, so much, because he's got so much stuff there, and there's not enough room to move things around the way you people wanted to have them.
No, Gino, first of all, no, and suggesting changes, I'm saying I don't think they're viable. Nothing would happen without discussion with him. We have had more than one person complain. But I don't think it's been overwhelming. I think we need to see what happens over the winter as this stuff starts to degrade. And certainly before we start talking about moving things around would be a discussion with him and Jim and everybody else. But it's not a big piece of property, so if you move something to one place, something's gonna fill in there.
Right,
I mean, he doesn't have 40 acres, he's got about 4.
yeah, correct.
So, and he's got a lot of activity going on there, he's got buildings that are in the way, he's got wetlands, so reconfiguring it's worth talking to him about, but I'm not sure we can make any hard and fast decisions on that yet.
That's good.
And certainly, Gino, it wouldn't happen without him talking to us anyway, so, as well as Jim, and probably the Conservation Commission. So,
That's good.
anything else on 370? Okay, let's open the, yep, we're there. So can we open the hearing for 420 Newtown Road?
All right,
Pretty good, how you doing?
with my engineer Jonathan Markey Rubin, and my brother Michael. Evening.
Hey. We see you here on occasion.
Yeah, I've been here before, I think. We've had our share here too.
I remember.
So I have 2 site plans to pass out. I want to put between you and Gino.
And we've been warned not to rustle them near the microphones, because we're all on TV.
Yeah, but we don't want them to hear what we're saying. So this is an existing... This is an existing single-family dwelling. We've done a repair septic system to replace the system that's out there now. It's an existing four-bedroom dwelling. We're proposing a leaching bed. We're proposing a new septic tank. We do have a couple of variances. We've put everything out to the back of the lot because we have the existing water line that kind of cuts across the front of the yard. And the way that the topo and contours work with the house in the front is a little bit higher than it is out back. So if we graded out the back, it would make the lot pretty nice and flat until you get to the end of the septic system, and then it would slope off towards the land in the back. So there's a couple of variances that we're looking for. One is a local upgrade approval for the
Fill within 10
offset
feet?
to, that's the local one. So the local upgrade under Title V is for, we're asking for a reduction in groundwater offset from 4 feet to 3 feet. The reason why we're asking for this is we're able to replumb the house to a certain extent to allow gravity feed without the use of a pump if we get this one variance. Without this variance, we would have to put in a pump chamber and pump the effluent up because there just isn't enough elevation in the house to redo the plumbing. So I am asking for that variance. The other variance I'm asking for is grading to property line. Although I've moved the system as close to the house as I can get it, I do need a grading variance to the local regulation for the grading to the rear of the property line. So those two variances are requested. Again, I typically don't ask for the 4 to 3 foot groundwater offset unless it's an extreme case. This is an extreme case, and it will prevent the use of the need for a pump chamber.
You're gonna leave the grading on the land, right?
Yeah, so the grade will still come up 2.5 feet, almost 3 feet. So it is still a raised system. We still provide that, you know, the sand underneath the system and everything. It's just that the way that the plumbing works inside, we can't cut that tree off
Yeah.
any lower than what I've proposed. So I'm kind of stuck with that elevation.
Gravity's a harsh mistress.
Yeah, it is, and it doesn't defy the laws of gravity in Littleton, so.
No problem with that.
So we have a note from Jim, I don't have a problem with the request, the area is served by town water, and the grading goes back to and should not affect the conservation land. So I have something, I have 420 Newtown Road on the agenda and 442, no, 420, never mind, I apologize.
One's got a stamp there, too.
You're at 442 King Street.
I am, yeah.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the variances for plan dated 11/12/15 for 420 Newtown Road. Variance being 3-foot offset from groundwater as opposed to 4, and fill within 10 feet of the lot line.
Second.
Wait a minute. Are you a butters for Newtown Road?
No.
Okay.
Any discussion or questions?
No.
Nope.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Great,
Thank you very much. Thank you. Got a broken one.
Yeah, oh well. That one passed. All right, so we have another hearing starting in a few minutes. We generally try to start them on time in case an abutter shows up. We don't want to start early.
That'd be us too.
That's it.
He needs a new pen. This is broken.
27, yeah.
Thanks.
Yeah.
So next one's 27 Dahlia. That's supposed to start at 7:40, so we're going to give it a minute.
Yeah.
Where would the camera be? We can put this so people can see
It's a
it.
good question. Where's the camera?
Thing?
Shelley, how do we get this on
Over
so
there.
people can see it on camera?
Put it on the camera.
Yeah, you can put it right there, yeah.
Is that the plan? Oh,
No, this is just the rendition of what we're going to do.
they'll have to zoom in onto you.
Here you go.
Should have sent it to me.
We're getting fancy.
Let's see, here you go.
So if you want to pass these out.
So the next one on the agenda is 27 Dahlia. Is anybody in a butter to that one that has a question? or- No? Okay.
We're doing well.
Yep.
Use that for paperweight if you want.
Billy, do you want to see this? Must have passed this down to you guys.
All right.
Are we on?
We can give it a couple minutes.
One minute.
Oh, you got it right now.
What's going on with Cooper? As long as we get a
We
couple,
are,
we can cover that topic in 2 minutes, right?
No. We are moving ahead. We're in agreement with the sellers, and we may have to wait.
Did you buy already?
Haven't closed yet. They've got a lot of our money.
You're gonna put 11 acres frontage.
I think it's something like 9
Nine and a half.
something.
I think we can
If the
start.
town, if the town,
Waives its right of first refusal.
no, if they work with us.
And waste.
They got to do that too, yeah. All right, I think we can start. Close enough.
Okay.
So 27 Dahlia.
27 Dahlia. 27 Dahlia is a property which is comprised of two existing single-family dwellings. The two dwellings are tied together with a common, we'll say, makeshift septic system that is in failure. We tried to do some soil testing in the area. We did get one hole that had parent material in it. The other two holes we encountered existing system or remnants of old system, and very high groundwater, which precluded us from being able to run a percolation test. So we took a soil sample, we had it tested at UNH for particle size analysis so that we can do a design based upon the type of soil that it is, which is allowed by DEP for repairs. Since we are not increasing the net number of bedrooms on the site, this is not viewed as new construction, although it's demolition of the two existing dwellings and rebuilding of two dwellings, the number of bedrooms is still the same. So,
Yeah.
yes, yeah. So on record right now, it's a 4-bedroom and a 1-bedroom, and we're proposing a 3-bedroom and a 2-bedroom. There is a net decrease in impervious surface on the site. The two houses are actually less roof area and surface area than the two existing dwellings that are there now. In order to mitigate stormwater runoff, we're directing all of the impervious roof runoff to two 700-gallon dry wells, which are sized at each side of the property. That will definitely reduce the amount of runoff off the site. Jim had made a comment on one of his reviews, what are you going to do with stormwater? And that, so I've designed that. The system as designed is huge, as you can see. And this happens when you use that DEP variance to do a percolate, when you can't run a percolation test, you take the worst-case scenario of the soil type that you test. And that test came back as, I think, Class 2 soil, so you got to make it the biggest. I think it's based on 30 minutes an inch. So it's a huge system, which is good, though, because the type of system that we're doing is, it goes into a pump chamber. Although it's not pressure distribution, it does pressure dose it does pressurize the D-box, which allows a greater distribution of effluent throughout the system. So although it's a larger system, it's a better designed system. So the variances that we're looking for here, I'm going off of memory. We're asking for a 3-foot groundwater offset on this one. Just because we had standing groundwater, I think, around 30 inches. We're also looking for a variance for no percolation test to run the sieve analysis in lieu of the percolation test, which is allowed through DEP. And we're also asking for a variance for the number of test holes on the site. Although we did perform 3, only one of which has real parent material in it. So usually you need 2 deep holes. We could only get 1. And then the local variance, as you can see, there is a proposed wall around 3 sides of the system. Towards the back, it's about a foot high. And then I think in its worst spot, 202 to 199.5, yeah, so about 3 feet at its worst. So the variance request here for the groundwater offset saves us a foot of wall. The neighboring property to the north,
Melissa's.
yeah, it actually, with that wall will be the same height as her driveway. So it will be, if you wanted to fill in, like on the property line, it would work out really well. However, if we didn't get the 3-foot groundwater offset, it would add another foot, and so.
Now, Jim had expressed, he basically said he's fine with this, but he expressed some concern about runoff going onto the road, and had asked that one of the conditions be that you work with the highway department. I think we have a representative from the highway department here tonight.
Yep.
So-
That's partly why I'm here. I mean, I just got it yesterday and, looked at it, didn't have a heck of a lot of time to think about it, but I went out and viewed the property today, and it's fairly flat now. I mean, they will be sending water out of the street, and we're starting to run into this, the new MS4 stormwater stuff, and we're starting to get increasingly concerned about any more additional runoff that the town has to deal with in the future.
So MS4 is a provision of the Clean Water Act that permits towns to basically discharge water. It's gone from something where it's kind of practice-based to where it's going to be, pretty soon it's going to be performance-based, and puts a lot more onus on the town to take care of these things, which is part of the reason the highways department's concerned. Now, you've got a couple big dry wells in here, right?
Yeah, so the dry wells are designed to take the roof runoff. As you can see this row of pines
Yep.
on the side. That row of pines is built into kind of a natural berm. The natural berm is there to stay.
There's no pines there.
There's no pines there.
Well, maybe we could leave the natural berm
We can.
there. Maybe.
Too late for the pines?
They're gone today.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well,
They were a
Which
nuisance
is another
anyway.
interesting point, but
yeah.
look where the property line is.
Ooh.
You gotta work with Jimmy to make sure you don't cause any problem.
So let's not go there much more.
Well, I think we already went there,
So we're going
but,
to leave
yeah.
the berm where it is, which will prevent the water from going off the property on the wall and directed towards the front of the house. In addition to that, that would slow the water down considerably before it hit that catch basin right at the corner.
So Jim, where are you on this? I mean, basically, we haven't had any motion, but I'm relatively comfortable with this. If you are, what would you like in place for some assurances?
Well, this is giving us some of the information, but not all of it. The properties are unique that are there now, and, I mean, they have no paved driveways or anything now, and so again, you're gonna have a little more impervious there, probably when the driveways are paved. I mean, they have the back of the property pitching back. It's basically from the house, it's
Great
forward, they're
elevations
gonna come out
on the new driveway.
into the street.
They're gonna be above groundwater, so we can put something across.
So what Jim suggests is we approve this on the condition they work with you. Is that good enough for you, or do you want something a bit stronger in here?
No, because they still have to go for a building permit, and, I mean, it's unique,
Right.
as they all are now.
We still have room out front to,
We could do
work
an
with, too,
interceptor
so-
drain across the
We
edge of the
could do
driveway.
an interceptor drain in the front with a catch basin under it if you want.
And then it's-
It goes out, then, at the edge of the driveway,
Right.
are they, the grates, but are they like the plastic grates out in the front, but the heavy-duty ones? Not
Yeah.
not the concrete ones, but
But where does it go?
it can go to a drywall underneath the driveway. We could do a Caltech under the driveway. Like the smaller stuff. It's still above groundwater right there.
we have room out
I
front.
think you're looking for less impervious surface,
You could do
impervious
it-
surface
you could
too,
do it-
right?
You could do it in between right here.
That's what I was thinking,
I
right
mean,
in the middle.
they're gonna capture more than they are now with
Right.
having the roofs being caught.
You got the roof, but the driveway, they could put something else in other than blacktop.
No,
Again, it's
we'd
not-
rather have the hot top and put
Yeah, it's
a,
impractical to have anything but hot top, really.
what? You can't, you gotta have the hot top.
Right.
Why?
Well, people plow, people snow blow, I mean,
Yeah, there's alternate surfaces you can put down now with the grading and things like that. You can put the,
But we could put a
blocks.
Caltech underneath it and capture the water with the drain.
So Jim, if you're comfortable with it, assuming the rest of the board agrees with the variances, but if you're comfortable just leaving it to work with you, I am. But if you want some more assurances on this, now's
No,
the,
it's fine, 'cause I mean, we still have.
See
a
the
couple of
driveway.
got plenty of other
Where's your
permits to all
driveway
over.
on this?
Okay.
I don't see where, is it right here? Where is your,
well, it's gonna be,
the
it's gonna be on
driveways?
this one right here.
Right there?
See the, it's gonna be a. So this elevation is gonna be, it's gonna be driving the garage.
What's a garage?
Okay, and what about the other one?
They're both garage
Okay,
under.
both underneath as
That's
well.
gonna be in the side right here.
Okay,
Um,
okay, so there will be blacktop there.
Yes.
Do you know if the area of the blacktop equals the difference of the two existing rooftops minus what you,
Imagine you're gonna have bigger rooftops, aren't you?
what
No,
you
they're-
had?
they're actually
No, it's
smaller.
smaller, they're smaller.
can see,
So does it
This is
make
the
up
box, we're
difference?
moving it away from the lot lines.
Yes, it
This
would
is the
make
new
it
one.
to- it
And then we
would
have
be-
this is the
Bigger will
original,
it be? Will it
No,
be
and we're having a smaller.
totally equal?
Yeah, because we've reduced
We're
the
making
amount
both of them smaller.
Footprint for the houses.
Yeah, so adding the pavement would make it equal.
It
Okay,
does bring it closer to the road,
okay.
Well, the house.
No, actually, the houses are further from
I
the
mean the
road.
driveway.
Yeah,
Huh.
yeah.
Are there drives in there now?
There are driveways, but no pavement.
Right,
Okay.
so you're not bringing pavement
Okay.
close to the road, but
Yeah.
if Jim's comfortable with that, that's really his call.
So
not
adding the
ours.
driveways equals what the surface area of the two roofs that
Yeah.
existing now?
So there's no
Yeah,
net increase
so-
of impervious
Okay.
surface.
Right.
Some of it will be closer to the road, but they'll work with Jim, and they're gonna be putting in dry wells and such to help capture that.
It looks like it's further from.
We did all the
road.
dry wells on Lincoln and
They're both further from the
Washington. Each
road.
house has their own.
The roofs are, but they don't have impervious surface driveways now. So you are gonna be,
No, you just said that they were further from the road, but they're closer to the
no,
road.
I'm sorry, I mean that the driveway is close to the road now, where right now it's,
Okay,
so.
yeah.
But if Jim's comfortable, that's really his call rather than ours, I think, so.
That's the existing house right there. It's
Yeah,
further
the-
back.
there is like an
Yeah.
existing,
Dry
like
wall.
parking area that's like compacted gravel. And when you look at the CN number for compacted gravel, it's
Equivalent.
the same as pavement anyway. So I didn't even include that in the calculations, so.
Short of putting another dry well here and running it from both directions to the middle, you don't have a lot of room to work with. I mean, I don't know what else you could do.
We're capturing as much as we can now.
And more than what is getting captured right now as it is. There's no gutters on the roofs on the existing houses right now, so now we're gonna capture all the roof gutters, reduce the roof area. You know, if we have to put a drywall in front, we can do that as well, so. I don't know what else to
I
say.
agree with
Okay.
what Brad said, if you can work it out with Jim.
Well, if you have to draw another plan up, you can. Bring it to Jim.
Okay. Yeah, it's not going to change the septic at all.
No.
Any other discussion or questions? Do you have a motion?
I'll make a motion.
Second.
I'll have to make the motion first.
Make the
You want to
motion,
second that
I'll
motion, you're right ahead. All right, Mr. Bill. Okay, I'd like to make a motion to accept the plan for 27 Dahlia Drive dated 11/12/15. Requesting local upgrade approvals for 310 CMR 15.4051, Section H, local upgrade approval to allow the system to be designed with a 3-foot offset to groundwater where 4 foot is required. Section 405, 1I, local upgrade approval to allow the system to be designed based on a sieve analysis in lieu of a perk test. Section 405, 1K, local upgrade approval to allow a system to be designed based on 1 deep hole as opposed to 2. And I believe we also have local regulation 23, I'm sorry, 27, local regulation 27, fill to lot line.
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Right.
Aye, passes unanimously.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right, I've been hoping we never get any projects on this road because I'm not quite sure how to, Buckley?
Hopefully, yes.
Buckley Road. So the next one is lot 5-5 Buckley Road, so. That was yours too? Thank you. Thanks, man.
Just saying.
Do you have anybody who's in a butter to this?
I'm just curious, John, is 7 on this one as well?
No, 7's across the street.
Okay, over, There.
It's actually,
Over.
does she have it on? Okay, so,
Buckley Road, yep.
here's 5, and here's,
it would, okay, so leave that right there. Parcel 7 is like right here, in relation to this drawing.
oh, okay, thank you.
Okay, so. Okay, so, Buckley Road. There's an existing farmhouse that's shown on the plan right here. The landowner had cut off 3 A&R lots to the north of her house. So coming up this way, there's 1, 2, 3 lots. There's 1 reduced frontage lot and 2 regular conforming lots. So during the approval process, plans were sent into Jim for the septic system. He came back with some minor comments. And at that time, we were looking to extend the water main from halfway down Buckley to these properties. That cost has become too much for the developer to bear. And it's like factors more than drilling wells.
Yeah, there's no shortage of groundwater in that area.
Yeah,
So-
right. So Now, when everything was designed, it was designed as though we were gonna be connecting to town water, so the location of wells wasn't really thought of at that time. So the wells are now a little bit of an afterthought. They still fit, but they fit with variances. So the variance that we're asking for tonight is a well offset to property line. And I gotta tell you, the Littleton code creeps up on you in the strangest times, because I haven't seen that one in years. And Jim came to me and he said, you know what, you have to ask for a variance for that. And I said, there's no well regs. He said, no, it's in the Littleton code. I forgot about the Littleton code. So, in reading the Littleton code says that I think you need a 50-foot offset to property lines for wells. And I discussed this with Jim. I said, you know, I think that these well regs were written more for well points, like driven well points, shallow wells.
Yeah.
And he said, yes, but, he said, there also, that property line variance is written to prevent spite wells. We had some problems with spite wells in town. I said, okay, I get you. And more so on the next one, you'll see, because I'm asking for a well variance on the next property. But we'll talk about this one first. So this one, if you look at the location of the proposed well, that's the existing well. Our proposed well overlaps the 100-foot buffer with the existing well. So,
Right here, but they-
so the spite portion of that argument is kind of null, because we're within the location of a new drilled well. That well is actually drilled and cased. That's a drilled and cased well. This will be a drilled and cased well. So the problem of the spite well thing is kind of null and void. We do meet, DEP has well guidelines. I went through those at great length. It's actually a really good document. It's
We're talking about updating our well regs and basically monitoring it up to
Yeah.
DEP. We just,
So I meet their requirements, I just don't meet the Littleton code. So I'm asking for a variance tonight. There's no spite well problem,
For 50.
and it is gonna be a drilled cased well. So I'm asking for a variance for the property line offset for the well for lot 5-5.
Which is?
Yeah, which is right here, so here's the proposed well.
There's-
Right
proposed
here.
well.
It's only, what, 25 feet?
Yeah, 25 feet off the property line.
Usually
So
it's
25 is required from DEP,
Right.
50 is required.
From the town.
Right,
By the town.
so that's why I show this 50.
so what's happening in here? Anything of notice? Nothing will be?
No,
Okay.
it's in their 100-foot well arc. This is the
Okay.
well arc for the existing house.
Okay. Most of it, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
Okay.
there's nothing ever
Yeah,
that's
so
gonna go there
it won't
that's gonna...
preclude any use for the land
Okay.
with that variance.
It also doesn't look like it's
And you're
likely
gonna-
anybody's ever gonna do anything with that land that would put it
Right.
at risk, so.
So you're going to seal it with caseline, right?
Sure.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, it will
It's
be
gonna-
drilled
a 30-foot?
cased. Yeah.
30-foot case, okay.
That doesn't necessarily protect the groundwater itself, but I don't see anything happening on
Right.
on that
It just
side that would
protects
be an
the,
issue.
anything from going,
Yeah.
Right, but some of
Yeah,
this
the
is
septic
to
well.
prevent infiltration in that primary recharge area for that well as well. So
Yeah.
casing it isn't 100% protection. But I don't see anything happening with that 50-foot zone or even the 100-foot zone that would lead me to be concerned or likely to happen.
Seems like Jimmy will have no problem with that.
Jim didn't have an issue with it either, so.
no, no. Are you a butters to this one?
No.
Okay. Okay. I just don't want your turn.
On where?
Dahlia Drive.
Oh, that we already heard that.
Oh, 6
You I
Where is
recognized
it on
you.
this local?
See this giant piece?
25
Yeah.
feet, right there.
That's the whole piece, so if I just take your pen. That's the farmhouse that we're looking at right here.
Which one? That
The
weird,
little
Right there.
black
that big?
dot, no. That little
Okay.
dot right there is that house.
Okay.
So the well is right
Right
here.
here.
So the well is
There's
going
nothing going on
something
there.
Propose
like,
the foundation for that,
There's nothing going on
well's
there.
going like right here.
yeah.
What's that?
The casing alone doesn't protect that water.
Moved
Yeah.
from Chelmsford.
But the number 7,
Is part of it, do you know?
Oh, I don't know.
God,
I never
I think
asked
we
her.
poured that 100 years ago,
Really?
yeah. Guy was a school teacher, I think.
the number 7.
Yeah, I couldn't figure out where it was on it. I don't know.
I should have wrote the address on there, because you probably drive by it all the time.
Well, there's usually a little arrow. I'm looking and I'm looking and I'm thinking, what am I missing there?
Yeah, I thought it was actually over here.
Sometimes that text goes underneath the image, and then you have to click on the text, and then in AutoCAD, you have to tell it to bring it to the top. That's my excuse.
They're complicated, right? Okay, I'll make a motion if everyone's ready.
Yep.
Do you know?
Go ahead.
Yep, okay. All right, I'd like to make a motion for Lot 5 Buckley Road, Littleton, Massachusetts, plan dated 11/12/15. You're very busy on 11/12/15. With a variance for Regulation 27, our local regulation, fill requirements to a lot line. Also, Littleton Well Reg, which requests construction of a well 25 feet from an existing property line. 50 feet is required, and 35 feet from a sewer force main where 50 feet is required.
Can I, you made a motion, not to tell you what to do, but
No.
don't second it. We didn't even discuss the property line grading. I
We've jumped
I
ahead.
think we
I
were,
guess so.
we were probably
comfortable. I think
okay.
we're okay with that.
I think we're okay.
It was a matter of, Jim asked me to raise one of the trenches, and it met it up until I raised the trench. So now I had to ask for it, so.
All right, we deal with it, we've
I-
discussed this a
okay.
lot. I'm pretty comfortable
I was
with
fine with
skipping
that.
discussion on that.
I was
so-
working with the
Okay.
wells, like the wells were great. Okay, so that's my
sneaky guy.
motion.
You have a second?
I second.
Okay. Any further discussion?
Nope.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Number
Unanimous.
7.
All right, 7, we have to start at 8, we're fine. Okay, so let you get your paperwork in order.
This one will be quick.
Maybe not. You can see Jim's comments.
Either comment, but well, you can, you got a case, you like. Well, you can do that. Got it right now. That is.
Okay, so,
Right here.
parcel 7 Buckley, this is down the street from that last property we were talking about. So, this one, again, we were gonna run the water line all the way down Buckley. Again, it was too expensive, so we've proposed a well located right there.
Yeah, but it doesn't say how many feet though.
It says
Right
what?
here. Right here, proposed well right there.
Yes.
But how many feet away from?
So it is,
100 foot.
Yeah.
right, it's within 32 feet of the road.
32 or 33?
33.
33.2, yeah.
So the
I got good
Littleton
eyes, huh?
regs say it needs to be 50 from the road. Again, and this one moves, this one is to the case of, that well reg was probably written for shallow wells, point wells, where, you have a roadway, you have salt. This will be drilled and cased.
30 feet down.
So what Jim's asking for is basically Jim's, if a condition of the well construction require the following: have the well drill install 30 feet of well casing into competent bedrock, and that the well casing be sealed to the bedrock with bentonite
You're gonna
clay.
do that, right?
Is that cool?
Standard.
Yeah.
That's all.
Thank
That's
you.
all you have to do.
Okay.
And that one's before Conservation Commission right now, too.
Oh, yeah.
So they were waiting for tonight before they'll hear it again.
So that's the only variance we're looking for.
That's it.
You've agreed to Jim's suggestion.
Yep. Yeah, that's the only variance.
There's no regulation, there's 32 feet.
What's the DEP?
What is it?
What's DEP say about this? Will this meet the DEP rig?
25 feet,
25. So you meet the DEP.
yes. That's an existing well on the neighboring property.
Okay.
Which,
And this is 10 feet off, right there? That's 10 feet off the property line?
Yeah, from there to there.
There to there?
Yeah.
Okay. This 10 foot. Yeah, because you're going into the...
Yeah, it's not usable area.
Yeah.
And then across the street also, there's wetlands across the street.
Okay.
Just out of curiosity, where does the water main end on Buckley? I was thinking it ended at Crane Road, but it doesn't.
No.
It doesn't.
The water main ends.
It ends
Property.
Where does it end?
right here.
It's closer to Fox.
Yeah.
I mean, not, he looked at putting water main in, but crazy money.
cost
Yeah.
prohibitive.
See the K in Buckley?
Yep,
That's as far as it goes that way. It stops right there.
that's Orion.
And then those 3 lots are right here, and that lot is right there.
There's no shortage of water there, and as long as it's not a lot of activity, so as long as they do this, it's not a bad spot for a private well.
I always thought that it went down to Crane Road and then up
Yeah.
Crane Road. It's weird
The
that they
hydrant
stopped it
that's
right
down
there.
there is not the end of it. The hydrant is, there's houses that are served off of it, but there's spaghetti lines past the hydrant. So all those houses have water. That house has water. No, he doesn't. But that one, that one, that one, that one. All these do, but it stops there, and it runs spaghetti to that one and to that one.
I always thought it looped, always thought it made a big area.
All right. Any questions or discussion? Do we have a motion?
Make a motion to approve the variance request for
33 feet.
plan dated 11/12/15 for parcel 7 Buckley Road, variance being, variance is requested to Littleton Code 226-6, well location requirements to allow the construction of the well 35 feet from the existing right-of-way. 50 feet is required.
I'll second that.
Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
I
All
Aye.
right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. And how'd you make out with soil evaluators?
Oh,
Did you get it?
oh, yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Nice job. I'll take that. Let me see it.
Yeah, we'll talk about that one. I actually printed out the CMRs, so. All right, thanks.
Thank you.
Okay, next up, 184 Air Road and Fast Frank's. Who's here for Fast Frank?
I am, and
Please come up.
for me. Rob Ansel is supposed to be here on behalf of Fast Friends, and he is currently in the emergency room with his dad.
Okay.
And he asked me to show up because I live in Littleton, and I'm 5 minutes away, and to request that we reschedule.
And you're with whom?
Perkins and Ansel.
Perkins, okay.
Yeah.
So you guys are looking for some variances for the food code. So I'll offer my insights on this is our health agent basically said, no way, these are minimum requirements, we shouldn't vary them. I've had some experience with the food code, particularly around some of the new and innovative type of things where it hasn't kept up, particularly food trucks and that sort of thing. I'd be willing, personally at least, as a member of the board, to consider some variance, but you've offered nothing to say how you're going to address the issues that are embodied in that food code. So you say, we want a variance, For instance, one of the requirements, which I have some sympathy for, is not having to go to a fixed location at night. But the rest of that code says that's where it's going to be sanitized and clean, and the food stored at proper temperatures, and it's going to be inspected. You haven't offered any insights on how you're going to meet those requirements without going to that location.
Okay.
So I'm not necessarily of the same mind as our health inspector, Jim Gareffi, which is, no, these have been requirements, we can't consider them. But there are reasons for those requirements, and you haven't shown how you're going to address those reasons with the existing structure. Some of these I don't think are just doable myself.
Okay.
But some of them, for instance, a fixed location, I'd be willing to consider. Personally, again, I can't speak for the entire board, if you were to show to us and come up with a plan that said, this is how we're going to make sure it's sanitized, this is our that sort of thing.
Okay.
Because, here's one of the requirements: mobile food operations not equipped with adequate water and waste system facility, hand washing and the cleaning and sanitizing of utensils shall be limited to preparation and service of frankfurters and non-potentially hazardous foods and the sales of prepackaged foods, prepared at a food processing establishment licensed in accordance with blah, 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 except that prepackaged food. You've got some other stuff there. The soups, for instance, can be potentially hazardous foods, depending on the pH and all that stuff. So
Sure.
how are you going to deal with that without the food handling establishment? I'm not sure that one's actually doable. Mobile food operations shall operate from a fixed licensed food establishment or food processing plant, which you want an exemption from, and to report at least daily to such locations for all food, water, and supplies, for all cleaning and service operations. Mobile food operators should retain the list of ingredients, the receipt of all bulk foods, which must indicate the name of the food item, the date purchased. All that would still have to apply, even if you don't go to a central location. So here's our plan on where we're going to keep it, here's how it's going to be available to people with the lot numbers in case somebody gets sick, this is how we're going to sanitize it, that sort of thing. If you show us how you're going to address these, I think we could consider it, but just a blanket, we want to be exempt without that kind of plan is difficult for us to consider.
And it's also the kind of food you're going to serve,
Okay.
because those are potentially hazardous. The different meats that you've listed.
Sure,
Okay,
okay.
and the temperatures. The
The potentially hazardous food is really hard.
The hot hold, the cold hold, all that stuff is really important. So that's why they only offer these certain permits for certain types of food service, because they only sell hot dogs, which not much can grow on a hot dog.
Right.
And then prepackaged.
We're the only species that eats hot
And
dogs.
prepackaged foods. So,
So we might consider
So
something else if you
if-
tell us how you're going to handle them or
Okay.
something like that.
Fair
But
enough.
but we've given us very little detail. All these codes are here for a reason, and you've just asked for an exemption without saying how you're going to address the reasons they're in there. So if
Okay.
you come back, potentially hazardous foods is going to be topped. The fixed location, I'd be open to considering a waiver for if you told us how you're going to address all the elements of that regulation that are associated with a fixed location.
so if I want to just finish, with the potentially hazardous foods, there's a certain amount that you can do on a mobile and on a food truck, and there's certain that you cannot. So
Okay.
you need to be in alignment with what you can do with the permit and with the sanitation, and also the utensil and serveware. So there's a whole list of things.
Here's actually a copy of the regulations, and what it basically says is mobile food operations not equipped with adequate water and waste system facilitate hand washing and cleaning and sanitizing of utensils shall be limited to the preparation and service of frankfurters and non-potentially hazardous food. So if you got some soups and some potentially hazardous food, you're going to have to show us why your adequate water and wastewater system are there, particularly the hand washing facilities. So if you talked about a hose, I don't even know if you have hot water at this thing,
Right.
or what temperature it is.
Right.
You're talking about storing food, typically that involves a health agent coming out and making sure that the refrigerators are kept at proper temperature and that sort of thing. So those are all things, if you want to consider as a waiver, you need to come back to us and show us how you're going to address those.
Okay.
Okay.
Understood.
Okay?
Thanks very
Here's a
much.
copy of the regulations.
Thank you
just
very
in
much.
case.
Appreciate your time.
Okay.
So do you want to make a motion to continue to this 15th?
So do we have a motion to continue this
Make a
until,
motion to continue this for
I'll second.
whatever day.
Is December
Convenient for you.
15th, okay?
Sure.
Okay, at 7:30.
Thanks, Sean. Okay.
okay?
Thank you very much.
I could have kept that going for 3 more minutes. Okay.
No, these are discussions, so you can start them anytime.
Okay, great. So discussion, 60 Dahlia Drive.
Hello.
Yeah, sure. Hi. Do you live at 60 Dahlia Drive, or you're in a butter?
We own
Okay.
Secretary.
You own.
We live in New Hampshire.
Okay, that's fine, sorry.
Start with me,
I'll
sir.
start.
Sure, go ahead.
Sherry Gould for the applicant. I'm here with Kirk from Civil Solutions and Mr. and Mrs. Whiteman, the owners of 60 Dahlia Drive. The Whitemans have owned it for a long period of time. I think the system is currently in failure. Kirk has been hired to replace the system so that the Whitemans can sell the house, and he would like to be able to do a replacement system under the local upgrade rules. The problem is, you have a permit from back in the 60s that says two-bedroom. And so, Jim, I almost said Ira, so Jim has written a letter to you saying that he can't rely on the local upgrade regulations, that he has to do a fully compliant Title V for three-bedroom in order to replace that system and expand the flow. Here's the problem. The permit was issued in the 60s, well before anybody even heard of the new Title V. In 1976, the Whitemans applied for a building permit to add a second story onto the house. And they had 5 children, and the second story was for essentially 4 bedrooms, 2 house, 5 children and parents and the adults. So right now, the house has a very large second story, 4 bedrooms. Downstairs is kitchen, dining, and living, one sort of large unbroken kitchen, dining, and living space. We don't want a 4-bedroom, we just want a 3-bedroom, but we're not going to be able to get a fully compliant 3-bedroom. I think I'll turn that over to Kirk, and he'll explain what we can get in there.
We actually haven't done the testing yet, but just knowing the area, I mean, it's right on the end of Dahlia Drive, right on the corner, inside corner of Dahlia, Birch, and Washington. That's the assessor's map. It's a fairly small lot, and there's a very limited area to put in the system. But I guess we're kind of looking for some direction from the board before we can go with the soils testing, just because the soil on top of that hill typically has a water table around 3 feet, and oftentimes we can't even run the perk because of the water table, and generally we end up using the sieve analysis. The sieve analysis can't be used for new construction, so that might be something we need to ask for a variance for. So that's where we're trying to iron out the number of bedrooms ahead of time. Basically, we don't want to go out and do soils testing more than once. We don't have to. If we're going to be limited on the number of bedrooms, it may be their best option to wait and do the percolator date if that's the only option. But as Sherry said, I mean, they basically, when it was built, permitted in 1960s, a 2-bedroom. In 76, they put a whole second story on, which was legally done through the town with permits. This is the application. They're listed as 3 bedrooms.
And it's been taxed as a 4-bedroom ever since.
No,
So
we've been taxed as 5
it's a
bedrooms.
5-bedroom.
Yeah, it's
So
actually
it's not a matter of the... Yeah, we have it's- that.
Okay.
It's not a matter of the assessors. Practically speaking, if they just replace this 4-bedroom home with a 2-bedroom system, the next owners are going to use 4 bedrooms, and you're not going to have health and safety covered. If you would allow some of the variances to let Kirk design a 3-bedroom system, sell it with a 3-bedroom deed restriction, the new owners will be on notice, but...
What again are the variances you're looking for?
Hit it.
The-
We haven't gotten to that stage yet,
sure
but I
yet.
anticipate it's going to have a high water table
Yep.
to try to
Sieve
keep the
analysis.
height. With the sieve analysis, there's good potential. It's going to fill within, I must guarantee it's going to fill within 10 feet of a lot line. It's a local variance. We may want to look at using some kind of advanced treatment, maybe the Presby, a sloping Presby, just because the ground there, it's on top of the hill, it's going to be sloping, to try to keep the height of the system down and hopefully avoid using retaining walls. I don't think it'll work in full compliance, and we'd really like to be able to
So you're likely to
provide them
need some
3 bedrooms.
variances to get a 3-bedroom system in there?
I would anticipate it.
Okay. I mean, I don't think we can guarantee that we'll give a variance, but I think this board is typically pretty good about trying to work with people, especially where there's such a mixed history where, yeah, you get a 2-bedroom, but you get a building permit and you've been taxed at this. We're pretty lenient with variances where we need to be, because we understand these are challenges, so. I don't think we can guarantee it ahead of time, but I think you have our commitment to try to work with you on this. I think we've typically done that.
Mr. Chairman, can I say something?
Absolutely.
Did you receive a letter from our agent?
What's that?
Did you receive a
The one
letter?
saying that we have to be in compliance with Title V, is that what you...
Not only that, according to this letter, why don't you read it, so?
Yes, I do.
So essentially, what
You understand what it's...
we want you to do your best to be in compliance without the variances. We will consider them. I think as you've seen tonight, we do. I mean, we're not going to do it where it's going to put the neighbors at risk or the health at risk. But you designed plenty of systems in that neighborhood. I think you know what we're capable with some reasonable variances.
Right, and I don't think we certainly wouldn't want to come in with anything unreasonable, but I guess we're
Right.
looking for some feedback on the board that you folks consider this three-bedroom upgrade rather than three-bedroom.
Well, I mean, we really need to see the system and the variances to say that, I think, but I think we have a history, and I think we try to work with you folks on that, as you've seen. I mean, without seeing a plan and a system and what the exact variances are, we can't guarantee you that we're going to approve it, but I think we have a pretty good track record of working with people on difficult lots and that sort of thing, and granting variances where they're necessary and where they don't put anybody at particular risk. Which I don't think you would do as an engineer anyway, so.
No, we wouldn't.
So I can't give you a guarantee, other than you've worked with us plenty of times before on variances, and I think we've been pretty reasonable, so.
No, I think what we came before you tonight to try to iron out is really the number of bedrooms and what, on record, as far as what is going to be allowable.
You know, with
So
the,
whether we would accept the three-bedroom deed
As an upgrade.
restriction as an upgrade.
Given the
That's the
history of the
question.
property.
Yeah.
from my perspective, again, I can't speak for the whole board, if you can come up with a system with reasonable variances that don't put the neighbors at risk or then I don't see why we wouldn't myself.
Especially if you put an IA system in, something like that.
Okay.
That would be great.
Well, we'll
Do your
we'll
best
leave it
you
up
can.
to you. Right, we're looking for your best effort to meet Title V. Where you really can't,
Yeah.
I don't think I wouldn't have a problem, at least.
Because it's a little different. I mean, it's not like it's a vacant lot and you're going to build a whole new house on it. There already is a house there. And so how I would view it is, I trust your engineering and been on site with you many times. I think just do your best and
Yeah.
Thank you.
I don't think we'll have an issue with a three-bedroom. Again, as long as you come forward with a reasonable system that can accommodate that.
Okay.
And as Sherry says, they're probably going to use it a four-bedroom, no matter what we call it. So.
Right, so we want to give them a system
Well, they're
that's
certainly
going
not
to be
gonna use it
suitable
as a
and that's
two.
going to last.
right.
So I think it's in everybody's best interest to do our best to upgrade this system to the extent possible, and
Yeah.
that's likely to require some variances, we understand that, that's why those variances exist.
And I'm glad you came, because I couldn't have translated the nice things Ian said about you.
Thank you.
Yep.
Thank you.
Is that reasonable?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I think it's fine. If it was new construction,
Right,
it'd be
that's
kind
a
of
different
different.
story, but.
It's not new construction. You do the
Yep.
best you can.
Thank you.
I even had to tell someone once the only option was a tight tank. It was this house that was between these two creeks. I mean, it was just,
Okay, 8:30, we got a few minutes on 3 Evergreen, so.
You got more?
Is that it?
No, we have to start at 8:30, that's.
No, it's a
Casey.
discussion.
Oh, it's discussion, I'm sorry, go ahead, I keep forgetting the discussion.
I've had 6 dahlias this week. I can't keep them all straight. Have you had a lot of
I think
dahlias?
my dahlias
had a
did
lot of
really bad
dahlias
this
this
season,
week.
it's a little
Yeah,
ironic.
we had two tonight.
So here's an interesting story, and you know that I'm on the ZBA, and Marilyn came to see me. I initially said that I wouldn't want to help her because it would disqualify me from sitting on the ZBA, but when I saw the problem, I decided that I probably should come here and speak to you as an attorney, and then I'll have to disqualify from the ZBA. Marilyn lives alone in this house on 3 Evergreen. It is currently a 2-bedroom home. It's got a 2-bedroom deed restriction on her septic system. Marilyn's aging mother needs to be incorporated into the household, and they would like to do it as an in-law apartment. Under the ZBA rules and regulations, you have to show the functional dependency, and you have to have a letter from the Board of Health stating that the septic system is adequate for the new use or the new addition. So Marilyn wants to put an addition on. It's about a 600-square-foot addition. And she presented the plans to Jim, calling it kitchen, living area, and bedroom. And it sits on the side of the house. And Jim rightfully has answered by saying she's already got 2 bedrooms, this makes the 3rd bedroom, and the septic system won't support it. So I've suggested to Marilyn a couple of things. Under the ZBA regulations for an accessory dwelling, which is what this is called, they're only good for 3 years. You have to come back to the ZBA every 3 years and renew it to show that there still is a functional dependency and to show that they're still compliant with
Special
Board of Health.
permit, isn't it?
It's a special permit, but it expires every 3 years. If you don't renew it, you can't have it. It also expires anytime there's a change of ownership or change of use. So I suggested to her that she could consider at this point maybe a conditional letter from the Board of Health saying this is a two-bedroom dwelling and we can approve the accessory dwelling, but only for these people and this use, and that every time it changes use has to come back before you, and she has to be aware of the fact that she may have to take out the kitchenette and the bath and convert this into a great room or a family room if she ever did want to sell that house for other purposes or for any other purpose.
So I can't read this second sheet, I'm sorry. Does it have a two-bedroom system on it?
It has a
Two-bedroom
two-bedroom
system.
deed restriction,
Jim's laid it out
two-bedroom,
as well, if you want to look at his notes.
two-bedroom deed restriction, two-bedroom system.
Okay, thank you. What's the year of the system?
2009?
2009. It was put in 2009.
Yeah, the house was built in 2009,
Okay,
December 31st.
thank you.
If any of you have tried to house an aging parent, it really is mentally better to have separate quarters, if at all
Well,
possible.
she's demanding.
Both my in-laws live in my house. I agree strongly.
Yeah. So, because I originally said to her, well, just add the kitchen and bath and let her sleep in the bedroom, and, it's,
No, I think it's
yeah.
better for everybody to have
Yes.
their separate space. I can attest to this.
And who else lives with you? A number of...
3 dogs.
3 dogs, so
Yeah,
no
no
other
other-
people?
No.
And they don't use the toilets.
Well, I wish they
What, the
did.
people or the dogs?
I assume the people do, the dogs don't.
Good clarification.
Okay, okay.
How many people in the house, and
Just me.
just you?
So there'll be 2 people in the house, Gino, when they're done, but there'll be basically a 3 bedrooms, but with a 2-bedroom system. So we can do a deed restriction and that sort of thing is what they're suggesting.
You could, actually, you're not really granting a system change. It's, all she needs to get to the ZBA is a letter from you, and your letter can state very strongly whatever conditions you want to put on it.
Right.
But when you sell it, then it's gonna be only 2 bedroom.
Right.
Well, the concern is, and
Sherry's
I'm
explained
inclined to
it.
be flexible on this myself. That's why I moved to a small town instead of, But, I mean, the concern is that somebody moves out and you have people using it as 3 bedrooms and you have a 2-bedroom system. That's the concern. It's not that you would use it for something else, but you
Somebody else.
sell it and you now have this accessory apartment that's going to be another person living there. I'm inclined to be flexible with
So I need to
Title.
just add, because you've said that these special permits coming down from the ZBA are recorded at the Registry of Deeds. So it's not like a buyer has to beware and actually come to the Board of Health and look up this file and find your letter. It is it's part of the chain of title.
No, I
Whoever
understand that.
buys this
But
will
at the same
know
time,
that.
there's nobody there checking who's sleeping in the
gonna be
bedrooms.
there?
and stuff, too.
Understood. I just wanted to make
Yeah,
that
no, I
clear.
understand, and I agree, and
Yeah.
personally, I'm inclined to be flexible, but there is a concern, and Jim has this, that if you sell it,
Right.
and you get people with a 3-bedroom, basically existing with a 2-bedroom system, that's the concern.
What can I do? Is there something I can do to alleviate it?
I think the deed
Concern?
restriction offers some protection on this, but it's not absolute, Sherry says, you buy it, they know there's a deed restriction, it's supposed to be 2-bedroom. The reality is, there's no bedroom police in Littleton making sure that there's nobody else sleeping in there, you only have, so many people. So
Yeah, I mean-
that's the concern.
So just what happens is, so a family of 5 move in, they have the septic system is 220 gallons per day.
Yeah.
And you've got 2 teenagers, whoever else, the parents, and you burn out your septic system and blow it out in a
Right.
couple of years, and then you're having to replace it, it's 20,000. So it also protects the homeowner,
Yeah, yeah.
so.
Well, the homeowner protection part, they know by the deed they're not supposed to do it, so they put themselves on that, but it still doesn't necessarily help the neighbors or the
Neighborhood,
groundwater
yeah.
or that sort of thing when they do that.
Well, no, I'm just saying that this is put in place to, not just a law that we have or
Oh, yeah.
whatever, but it's.
Oh, I
it's Because
understand.
they're expensive to replace.
Right.
So it has a limit for a reason.
But the homeowner themselves
don't know.
has already been warned through the deed restriction, they're going to be made aware of any potential sale, that they're not supposed to do that.
Yeah.
It's more the groundwater and the neighbors and the failed system and the health and that sort of thing that I'd be concerned with. If somebody screws up their own thing and it costs them 25 grand,
yeah,
when they were
yeah.
warned, that's their problem.
Yeah. Oh, I
It's more the
see.
neighbors I'm
If
concerned
you
with.
sell it,
Yeah.
the real estate say, well, there was a 3-bedroom.
Well,
They don't care about looking if it was a restriction. And then they come in front of us, they say, we just bought a house, it says restriction,
I just
oh, we didn't
think
know
we have to
about
be
it.
careful.
So that's the concern
People we
with
let
this.
this happen to.
You understand that?
I do.
Oh, I don't know.
Personally, I'm inclined to say, myself, I'm inclined to say okay with the deed restriction. Jim would argue against this, I think some of my fellow board members would argue against this, but,
The problem, I personally don't have a problem with what you want to do. The problems arise down the road.
right.
And it doesn't matter about deed restrictions or anything else. People use simple logic and they say, well, it's been a 3-bedroom all these years, and I bought it assuming it was a 3-bedroom. Why can't I do it? You know, they did it. And so it's not so much your particular situation, in my mind, it's what's going to happen down the road. And I don't fully understand why you need another bedroom if it's already a 2-bedroom and it's just you and your mother. What,
She and I have both agreed it would be a bad thing for her to move.
I think Conceptually,
The-
Bill,
Not
I think
have her own
everybody wants their own
space.
space.
It's a mental health thing.
Separate living
She-
space,
It's
separate
not just
door.
mental health.
It's independence, it's a bunch of stuff that goes with it.
She's had everything else taken away from her, and it is the independence is what it's coming down to. And she has 4 cats, and she wants her own space.
And the 3 dogs and the 4
And-
cats want their own space.
Yeah, and right now, when something happens or she gets upset at night and she's fearful where she is now, I'm driving like a lunatic down Goldsmith. And it's getting to the point where she's going to be in a wheelchair. I need to get her meals. I need her with me. And I know that that part doesn't really apply to why she's not in the main house. The reason she's not, I don't want her in the main house and she doesn't want to be in the main house is her independence.
So, Bill, I agree with most of what you say. I think it's
understand
likely,
the situation perfectly. I won't say again what I already said.
Yeah.
so I agree with part of what you say, which is it's likely down the line somebody's going to use it as a 3-bedroom. But with a deed restriction, everybody's going to know that they're not supposed to. Whether they adhere to that's another matter. That's the concern, is that somebody's not going to adhere to the deed restriction. Personally, weighing that against the flexibility of neighbors and people in Littleton and being part of a small town, I'd be in favor to approve this with a deed restriction. I suspect I'm in the minority, but that's my
Well, there's
feeling.
also the concern of people who know that this situation arose and you were granted this just through watching the meeting or word of mouth, and then they come before us and want to do the same thing. So that negates any
We have to
deed
keep that.
restriction in regards to your property. It's just somebody else wants to do the same thing, and again, the reasoning is, well, you said yes there, why can't I do it? And these are the things that I think about when something like this comes up.
Well, I think we do have to be consistent, so if somebody came with a similar situation, I think we'd be beholden to approve it with a deed restriction. And there's some risk with that somebody's going to misuse it and put more people in there than the system is, and there's benefit in that to taking care of our elderly and mental health and all that stuff. I mean, and that's why we have a board to make those kind of risk benefits. I'm inclined to be flexible on this and realize that there may be some problems down the line. And we have plenty of people now who have illegally furnished basements, which could be used as bedrooms. And we've bowed to that when they come before us after the fact and said, okay, with a deed restriction, you can go sell it. Without any inspection, this would entail an inspection for this. It would be done properly, at least by the building code. The only remaining issue would be that somebody might violate the deed restriction and use it for a 3-bedroom. That's an issue, I agree. But it's also an issue when people want to take care of their parents in their home. And I tend to...
I agree too, and also by the fact that you say she's in a wheelchair, am I correct?
Not
She
yet.
will be.
She's
She
about
will
to
eventually
be.
be in a wheelchair.
Not that long from now.
Okay,
yeah.
so you have, everything's gonna be done for her so she can get in
Correct.
comfortably, or you have to take care of her, am I
I
correct?
need to take care of her.
But see, a
yeah.
lot of people don't understand that. I understand that.
Yeah.
I mean, I won't have no problem, but the question, when you do sell the house, said, hey, it was okay for those people, I can't have it. I have
Well,
children.
we have bylaws that state why it was okay, because they had a special permit, because they had
Yeah.
we had the certificate from the doctor, whatever, that said this. The problem is people are going to violate it, and I agree that's a problem. But I also think it's a problem when people can't take care of their parents in their home.
Right, I understand.
And I tend to lean
So-
towards being flexible, allowing our neighbors to take care of their parents in their home.
Yeah.
So here's a possible option too that would kind of alleviate the need to use that second bedroom, is you could open the aperture of that room and connect it with whatever is next to it. And that immediately, it's not a bedroom,
Which-
in a sense.
which-
If you could do
one
that
second.
creatively with that bedroom piece. I don't know, you have a couple of maps here, or
Which
plots
room,
here.
are you talking about her existing, in the existing house, or the new unit?
No, in the existing house or in the new. How you can get around it being a technical bedroom. It's got to be certain square footage, it's got to have certain windows, it's got to have a closet, da-da-da-da. So I'm just saying, let's think this through, because there may be a way, because I agree with Bill in that once we start doing this, we will need to accept it for everybody, to be fair, and I think we have to watch that because of as you heard the engineer say previous to you, there's a lot of soil in Littleton, the depth to ledge, to bedrock. There's a lot of challenges in putting in septic systems in terms of making them comply with Title V. It already is hard in a lot of areas of Littleton, not everywhere. So I'm thinking, how about, let's be creative with the space. Just think about that.
Well, I think part of the
That would be
challenge
good.
is,
Okay,
the creativity you're suggesting also takes away from the separate and the independence and the things that you're seeking.
Okay, I think.
Well, no, but if she's a separate room, she's going to have a whole other room. She's going to have a whole other
I think the
add-on.
young lady has a
She
point,
can-
and I was trying to recommend that too. You're gonna build a room, am I correct? You're gonna build an extra room here, right? You already have a bedroom.
She's going to do a whole
This is the
add-on.
addition.
This is the
This is
addition.
the addition.
Yes.
Oh,
So
you're gonna-
essentially, they're putting on a studio apartment.
So wait a minute,
Right.
so
Yeah,
actually it's
exactly.
like an in-law apartment?
Yes.
That's what you're doing?
Yes.
So what Ann's
It's gonna
suggesting
be-
is you open up the two
It's
bedrooms
gonna-
in the main
yeah,
house
yeah,
and...
yeah. It's gonna be a big problem when you sell it. It's gonna be a big, well, you got the restriction, but did you
Have you
remember the
talked to
people
an
who were here
architect?
before? The house was for
It
two
looks like this
bedrooms?
was
All of a sudden
designed
they
by
She's
had
been
five.
working on a CAD program with Matt Field, and I think we can go back with these comments, I think we can go back and either open up the two bedrooms in the main house as one, or come back in here with a slightly smaller than 600 square feet, but make it look more like a studio or an efficiency, all one room rather than a bedroom.
I'm not sure that would make a difference if we went down below 600 square feet.
No, the square footage per isn't,
If
but
all
the
you
walls,
added on is that-
but the walls are. The walls and
What's that?
the bedroom part is.
She wants an independent bathroom, right?
And that's
No,
fine.
that,
So
that,
the
that bathroom is no problem.
That's
I
fine.
haven't
You have
seen
another
a
bathroom.
footprint of the house.
Yeah, the bathroom
or
part is
plan.
fine.
You also, you can have a little kitchenette, that's no
Can
problem.
I
No,
pass
I-
it down?
no.
But the bedroom, if you can.
I think there's ways
if
to
you
make it
can
happen
use the second
that will make it
bedroom as a
above board.
closet and everything, and the second.
I think we just need to be flexible and humanistic.
The
in
wa-
this.
the
I
window,
mean,
no-
We
no
will have
problem.
competing things, and that's why we have a board
Be
to
like a
balance
one
those
big
out.
bedroom.
I was trying to
Well, I
listen
know,
to
but
both
they
of you.
Sorry.
I didn't get what you said.
Oh, no,
It's making
So the
one
suggestion
bedroom
is you take the
closet.
two bedrooms in the main house and open it up so you only have one bedroom in the main house.
looks like one big bedroom. And there you have no problem.
Which could be done. You could have like a sort of a bedroom sitting area.
But that impacts on your living space.
And there will be like, also with a restriction of no.
Well, if you do that, you won't need a restriction, you know, you only have two
No, what I'm
bedrooms.
saying, with
We'll
somebody
look at
else
it. We'll
will
look
come
at
and
the
say, oh,
plans
there's a
and
big
unpack
bedroom.
something. I
Can
think
I
we can do
divide
it.
it? Do you know what I'm
Okay.
saying? Then they're gonna say, can we divide it? I put a petition so we can have an extra bedroom. But that way, if it's open, no closet, one big room.
Well, I will say it for the record, I think we're micromanaging this too much by requiring people to open up their bedroom. I think we very much know what the situation is. We have two conflicting needs. One of is a potential misuse of this down the line, and one where we have a neighbor and a citizen who needs to take care of an elderly parent. I think we just need to make a call.
And, you know, ideally, she's going to live a long and healthy life with this accommodation with her daughter. I mean, my mother, God bless her, is 95, and we have a similar situation. I moved her in next door to me, and we didn't, thank God, we didn't think we'd get 10 years out of it. We're working on 20, you know, and it's been wonderful.
It's great.
Yeah.
So,
So do you want to go back and see about opening that room? How do you want to work this?
Well, I will look at the drawings of the main house against this addition and see if we can't come back with some sort of a proposal for collapsing it when the use is over. I suggested maybe we look at this as, a big, huge family bonus, pool table room, and that you give her the permission with the condition that she has to pull out the kitchenette, and make it one big square room at the end, pull out the walls and the kitchenette if she was out. What's that?
You have as many kitchens as
Yeah,
you want.
yeah.
The kitchen
yeah, the
doesn't really
kitchen-
play into
the
it.
kitchen and the bathrooms don't
It's more
matter.
how many bedrooms
It's
could
the
feasibly
walls-
be used in
It's the
there.
walls around the bedroom space. So you be creative.
That's
And
why
I
I
think you
said
could
if
do
you
it.
can just
It's
keep
just-
the bedroom you have and then add a kitchen and.
So
and
I
whatever
honestly
to it.
don't think you can do it
Problem is
without
the
giving
bedrooms
something
are
up.
upstairs,
You
and
need
the
to
mother
consider
can't get
that.
up and down to them.
And if
That's
you had a
the
full
problem.
board, it might be worth seeing what
That
you can
wasn't
do with
even
that
mentioned
without
until
doing it.
just now.
Yeah.
Because I just went and looked at these plans. Your bedrooms are upstairs, right?
Yep.
So the mother can't get up and down to the bedroom, because that was my first thought,
Well,
too.
that's a,
Well, I think what Ann's saying is open up the
pretty
two
huge.
bedrooms in the main house, so, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
I mean,
oh,
the
no,
other
no,
option-
I'm saying if you can work with the walls,
Right.
even if you open up a door aperture in an existing bedroom, or if you alleviate that you've got a small piece of wall in the bedroom area of the addition, you can work with that.
Except that the goal of the addition is to have a separate space so the mom
No,
has
no,
an independence.
no, the addition is separate. No, I'm talking about inside the addition, Brad. Inside the
If they
addition.
did a salt box style on the addition, so that the back roof
There's
comes
only
down
one room in the
slanted and-
addition, right?
Yeah.
So there's nothing to do in the addition that would change it. The only way you're going to change the bedroom configuration is if you change the two bedrooms in the
Can I see
main
the
house
map,
to one
please?
bedroom.
This is just the addition, the main house.
Yeah.
So essentially, the
What plan
problem
is
is
it
the
here?
whole studio apartment will add is another
No,
bedroom.
see, there's a half wall right there, right? You have that half
That's,
wall?
can
That's,
go.
But that's not
One
going to
big
change it.
open
It's
room.
still going to add a bedroom to it, Ann.
Okay.
So the only way to reduce a bedroom is to take the two bedrooms in the existing house and make them one bedroom.
bedroom.
Which
Which,
I don't think can happen. It's the top of the
the
stairs.
top
and
two,
it's-
and they're on the opposite
and-
sides, right?
They
No,
are on opposite
actually, I
sides.
would contest that, Brad. I think that in the addition, because after she is moving on, whatever, and you could put pool tables in there, you could put ping pong, if
Well,
it's
that's
an open, if it's an
exactly how I
open,
understood it. Yeah.
if it's an open room,
That's what it would be, is
Open room.
everything would
could-
come out,
Open room.
and it would be like a workout room for me.
yeah, yeah.
That's.
And it doesn't
what
have
I
to be
understood.
apparent that it is a bedroom.
That it,
I
I don't
mean,
know
I
if there's
think-
some kind of restriction you
Does
guys
that-
can put on.
I think that might work.
Well, what if we did it as a workout room building addition? Let's do a workout room.
It still adds a room to the
Then it
house,
still
right?
adds a room to the house.
So you can call it a
Okay, so-
workout room, it's still adding a room to the house.
But is that a problem if there's only two bedrooms?
Well, the problem is you end
Well-
up, it can be used as a bedroom, it's,
Yeah, okay, all right.
you see what I'm
Call it
saying?
a
Yeah,
bedroom
yeah.
plan.
So,
Just don't call it a bedroom.
How many rooms are in the house right now?
I think it's a small room.
So you have two bedrooms
Why do the
upstairs.
assessors call it 6? Because the occupancy permit calls it 5, but the assessors call it 6, so that's part
What do
of...
they
Gee, I
call
didn't
it
think we
six?
went by the assessors.
They don't, but...
Are they overcharging me? Can I
Probably.
save money tonight?
You can say no.
If
But the
she's only
basement
got
is
five.
unfinished?
No, I did finish it because the wind was blowing through.
But is it a walkout basement where you have a
Yeah.
door to the outside,
Yeah.
a complete walkout, ground level walkout,
Yep.
or is it a,
Ground level.
okay. That's why,
The only solution is.
that's why.
Maybe.
So.
It's
that-
not necessarily
Upstairs.
why, maybe
Make
why.
one
So you have
down.
6 bedrooms?
Then-
6 rooms,
No.
basically.
So it's
6
six
rooms, 2
rooms.
bedrooms.
No, I have 1, 2,
can
3,
open
4,
that up.
5. I have 5.
But if you finish
Including-
the
Oh, I have
basement,
a
it's a room.
combined kitchen, living room. It's
Well,
all
you
one
just said
open
you finished
area.
the basement.
Okay,
I
so
have
maybe
an
they count
office.
that as.
Well, that's gonna count
That's
as two.
what they count that.
Does that kind
Yeah,
of?
that
That
counts
was
as
what
two.
they counted. Okay.
So I would still, again, if you can work this out in open
Okay.
space without giving up your quality of life or the independence, that's fine, but it's still maybe worth coming back when we have a full board and this for this, because I'm personally inclined to be flexible. I agree there's a potential room problem down the line, but there's a potential problem now where we can't take care of the elderly, and we can't ignore that.
But that's, unfortunately, that's not what we're sworn in to uphold.
Well, what we're sworn in to
Unfortunately-
uphold is also the ability to give a variance and allow this sort of thing.
Absolutely.
So
but
we
I
can
think-
consider that, Ann, that's why it's
Yes.
built into the regulation
Yes,
that we can
but-
allow
but-
this.
But
You may choose not to, but some of us choose to view it
Yeah,
that
but the
way.
problem also, Brad, is that, I've seen permits that have already had variances, and then they want that changed to get another variance, and I mean, it's just, where does it end? And I fully appreciate the situation you're in, believe me. But it's everybody else that comes behind. They did it, why can't I? And basically, you have a two-family house close to it.
I don't think it's quite a two-family house. I do think we end up
Not
with
big.
potentially more bedrooms than the system is granted. I will give you that.
Yeah.
But we've had plenty of people come in here after the fact, and they did an illegal renovation of the basement without anybody from the building department looking at it and say, oh, it was done before us, can we get a deed variance so we can sell it as a four-bedroom or whatever, and we give it to them. Now we have somebody
Not
before us with a
everybody.
Bill
legitimate
doesn't.
need. We have a legitimate need where it's gonna go before the building department. We know it's gonna be done right and up to code, and we're saying, oh, no, we're worried about that. I don't think we're missing the forest with the trees on this one.
Well, of course, I'm on Brad's side, but the reason I'm here and the reason I chose to stand down from the ZBA end of things is because, like you, I believe this is a situation where there's a legitimate need. I think your safeguard is in the fact that this permit expires every 3 years. Now, maybe she needed to hear all of this to determine if she wants to spend the money on a 600-square-foot new construction, new addition that may not have a use later on, because if she can't sell this as an in-law apartment, and if your restriction is worded such that it can't be used as a bedroom, she's selling a two-bedroom house with an in-law apartment that may not be used. She needs to hear
Yeah.
that.
And I think we have a
Yeah.
legitimate concern here that
Yeah.
somebody's gonna use that as a third
Yeah.
bedroom.
Yeah.
That's a real concern.
Yeah.
And that
I
would be
just weigh it against
unfortunate.
your need, and as far as I'm concerned, they're both public health needs. One's immediate, one's potential. I go with the immediate.
I agree with you. I mean, I think it is a real need. I just going through my head thinking, what's going to happen, and the future of, what we're going to see, and we do need to be fair, and it's, but I agree with your need, absolutely. I think that's,
Thank you.
the only thing I'm thinking that would just help is, I don't think you need to make the two bedrooms at the top one, but if you were to open it up enough, just hear me out. I know it's a stupid idea on your end of
Yeah,
things.
you're right.
But
I just suggested that.
just the top bedroom.
She says no.
Open up the door, open it up enough that it's like a sitting room for you.
Yeah.
Doesn't have to open
Still
up
considered two
completely.
rooms, so it
It's
doesn't,
still
it
gonna,
doesn't
first of
change
all, it's still gonna be considered, and as easy it is for her to open it up,
Okay,
it's
but-
just
no,
as
no, no,
easy
no,
for
no.
somebody to close it
Yeah,
up when they
that's,
buy it.
that's the problem with that, Ann.
So
You-
we're just playing games to get
you-
around words.
You pull a wall down for the next donor to put the wall back
Right,
up.
that
That's
is-
I mean,
exactly
we're
what
just-
happens.
That
we're
was
just-
the only way.
I have to say, I
No,
don't think
I
it's our
think it's a
job
stupid
as a
idea.
Board of Health to redesign people's homes to
Agreed.
circumvent
I know.
regulations.
I just suggested.
That's why I asked if you had seen an architect. Well, you're working with somebody, and with the information or just what we've discussed tonight, I would go back, present
About
it,
it.
and see if you can come up with some way of doing it that'll solve the problems we're having in this discussion. The biggest problem is what Sherry said. The bedrooms are on the second floor. I mean, we were talking 15 minutes before we even knew that.
Right.
But
If she wanted
that's
to be on
almost
a
immaterial.
wheelchair-
The biggest problem is we're adding a room to this house, which technically
Big
adds
room.
to the bedrooms. There's no way around that.
I
We
understand
can put a deed
that.
restriction that offers some protection, but it's not absolute protection.
I understand it
Yeah.
all. The thing that bothers me is people coming down and saying, they did it, why can't I? And it just mushrooms.
But if she can
So
do it,
if
why
it can
can't
be
they?
designed,
That's
so
the bad
if
thing.
it can be designed so that it's, a little bit more palatable, I'll be all for it. I mean, I fully understand your situation. I don't think anybody here doesn't.
Let me meet with Matt and see if we can figure out a different kind of architecture that,
We're here to help if, there's anything we can do to help. It's got to be done in a way, right? Otherwise, we're going to have so many problems. And then they go to her office and say, oh, yeah, we'll give you deed restriction for 3 years and whatever. And it's still, people don't care about it. They disregard their law. Like, if we do this, we are disregarding the state law. Indirectly.
okay.
But we have people all the time with the illegal basements, and the message we give is, it's better ask forgiveness than permission. We have people asking for permission with a good reason. I don't think they need to go back to the architect. I think we just need to do our job and balance the two competing needs and make a decision. There's no way they can reconfigure that where you're gonna get a separate apartment for your mom, and you're not gonna add a bedroom. Unless your architect works in a whole different realm of existence than the three-dimensional world we in, that's the reality. This board just needs to do its job and balance the two risks and make a decision.
You have a garage?
Yeah.
You have a garage.
I thought about,
Why don't you convert the garage?
It's still gonna add a room, Gino. It doesn't change
I know, but I'm
anything.
saying she can add a big room, like put in a pool table, she can still have a bigger room. She can play pool too, you know what I
But
mean?
it
And
still
sleep
won't
at the
change
same
our issue,
time.
Gino.
I know, I'm only trying to figure things out.
We'll come back, 2 weeks.
Okay.
I'm willing to do whatever you guys
Yeah.
need me to, as long as
We
I
understand.
can get her over there.
Yeah.
I appreciate it. And I know it's a problem, so, whatever I need
Yeah,
to
I'm
do.
sorry.
7:45.
No, we understand you have a real
Yeah,
challenge, and
I
we've
am.
got some competing challenges with
Yeah.
septic systems, and we need to figure out how to balance them out the best we can, because you're not the only one in town with this issue.
Okay.
I hope it comes up more and more, because that, 14,000 now for nursing home.
No,
14,000.
and
a
it's-
month.
A
I pay
month?
for my aunt, I know.
14,000 a month for
And
nursing home.
it's not where I want to be in 30 years.
No,
Yeah.
Yeah.
no.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Good luck.
Thanks.
back.
We'll be back.
Any other business?
Did you sign those?
Yes, I did.
Motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Second. How many people's gonna get?